decades, rumors of the discovery of mysterious ghost skulls have been shared by word of mouth in small North American villages. This week, we will delve into this modern mystery and uncover the details of the famous ghost skull event, a secret buried beneath a small town in Tennessee. As Officer Jack Thomas of Richmond Town parked his patrol car along the country road, he gazed through the driver's window at a faintly glowing object on the ground nearby and couldn't help but curse inwardly. For a moment, he tried to convince himself to leave this eerie place. However, an overwhelming curiosity drove him to get out of the car and walk towards the mysterious object. Thomas reported his location via radio, then opened the driver's side door and approached the odd glow. Even from 10 meters away, he knew what he was about to see. A ghostly skull lay quietly on the ground, surpassing all his imagination. The surface of the skull was covered in diamond-like indentations, with many parts of the bone meticulously cut away. Even more bizarre, the eye sockets, nasal cavity, and jaw were missing, as if removed by some experimental surgery. He stood there, pondering the lack of footprints or disturbed earth around it when he heard a low hum in the distance. Looking up, he saw a black, unmarked vehicle approaching slowly and coming to a stop next to his patrol car. The occupants of the vehicle watched him intently, scrutinizing his every move. After the vehicle disappeared into the dust, Thomas felt a wave of unease, fear, and anger. Who was creating these skulls, and who was trying to hide the truth? Richmond Town may be small, but it is rich in history. Officially established at the turn of the 20th century, mysterious stories about the nearby mountains have been circulating for much longer. Local legends speak of mysterious glowing orbs, hunters who vanished without a trace, and trails that ended abruptly, all tied to these mountains. However, starting in the late 1970s, these stories became more complex, accompanied by a series of strange skull discoveries. The story began with a livestock farmer named Jonathan White. His beloved calf died suddenly under highly unusual circumstances. The skull's surface was cut smooth as a mirror, yet there was no sign of decay. Over the following months, similar incidents occurred. Not only Jonathan but other farmers also reported similar cases. Officer Jack Thomas, tasked with investigating these mysterious events, found each investigation more perplexing. The undisturbed soil, the lack of footprints, the untouched carcasses, all these elements were peculiar. Even stranger, Thomas often saw unmarked vehicles nearby during his investigations and sometimes heard low-frequency humming sounds. As the investigation deepened, Thomas noticed more and more inconsistencies. The high-level interest and cover-ups by his superiors, along with countless doubts and warnings, made the case increasingly complex and mysterious. He gradually realized this was not just a simple case of animal harm but possibly part of a greater, more profound conspiracy. The residents of the town became aware of these events, spreading panic. People began to question the safety of their lives, especially when they saw the precisely cut skulls. Stories of ghost skulls erupted in schools and churches, and households locked their doors and windows tightly at night, fearing they would be the next victims. Feeling helpless, Thomas received a report from a resident named Mary Jones, who claimed to be affected by the strange skulls and had dreamt of them. She described how the carvings on the skulls matched scenes from her dreams, catching Thomas's attention. Mary also revealed that these skulls seemed connected to an old family legend. At the same time, a local technician named Alex Bennett also reported some unusual phenomena. An amateur radio enthusiast, Bennett had picked up some mysterious signals while exploring certain frequencies. These signals sounded like some form of mechanical operation, with frequency and strength varying over time. By calculating the signal's strength and direction, Bennett was astonished to find they originated from the skull discovery sites. Alex was not just a radio enthusiast, he was also an amateur astronomer. He had spent countless sleepless nights under an unfrequented night sky, observing strange lights with his telescope. Bennett recorded this data, but when he tried to share it with the police, his emails were mysteriously deleted, and computer files vanished overnight, making him suspect powerful forces were intervening. He informed Thomas, and they decided to investigate the mysterious signals further together. On a moonless night, Thomas and Bennett embarked on an expedition to the signal source. With equipment like detectors, cameras, and recording devices, they set out at midnight. After hours of climbing and traversing, they finally reached their destination. At a hidden spot in the mountains, they discovered a large cave entrance camouflaged with nets, almost indistinguishable unless observed closely. Deciding to sneak in, they found the cave emitting a strange blue light inside. Proceeding further, they suddenly encountered a large pile of these peculiar skulls, each finely carved. As they prepared to document the evidence, a violent tremor hit, causing the cave's roof to collapse. Bennett screamed, pulling Thomas to retreat quickly. Just as they dashed out, the entrance was sealed by giant boulders. Shaken, they realized they had uncovered a secret far more dangerous and profound than they had ever imagined. Despite detailed eyewitness reports and testimonies from town residents, the military and government firmly denied the authenticity of the skull events. There was evidence these skulls might be byproducts of government experiments aimed at some psychological testing on local residents. One gloomy afternoon, Thomas received a call from an unknown number. The caller claimed to be a high-level government investigator and explicitly warned Thomas that his and his family's safety was at risk if he continued to dig into the matter. When Thomas asked for the caller's identity, the line suddenly went dead. In the following days, his phone and home landline were bombarded with harassing calls. The voices often came with background noise, as if from a secret base, adding to his unease. Thomas also began to notice surveillance. His phone was tapped, and unidentified figures appeared at his home. Sometimes a black car was parked near his house at night, increasing his family's terror. Realizing he may have uncovered things best left alone, Thomas nonetheless resolved to keep investigating. During a routine patrol, Thomas met an elderly woman, claiming to be a native with deep knowledge about the skull events. She revealed these skulls related to an ancient legend passed down in her family for generations. The ancient legend revealed, "A long, long time ago," the elderly woman began, "this place was far from peaceful. It was a vast sacrificial site used to communicate with beings from beyond our world. These celestial visitors would take skulls of some beings for study. The fine carvings on the skulls are actually a form of language, their way of communicating with us." Thomas found it hard to comprehend initially, but realized she was serious. Further talks revealed the celestial visitors had ceased contact at some point, but the sacrificial tradition continued, with the finely carved skulls becoming crucial symbols. "Do you know what these carvings mean?" Thomas asked. "The carvings hold their knowledge and secrets," she whispered, "but only certain people can interpret them." "A long, long time ago," the elderly woman began, "this place was far from peaceful. It was a vast sacrificial site used to communicate with beings from beyond our world. These celestial visitors would take skulls of some beings for study. The fine carvings on the skulls are actually a form of language, their way of communicating with us." Thomas found it hard to comprehend initially, but realized she was serious. Further talks revealed the celestial visitors had ceased contact at some point, but the sacrificial tradition continued, with the finely carved skulls becoming crucial symbols. "Do you know what these carvings mean?" Thomas asked. "The carvings hold their knowledge and secrets," she whispered, "but only certain people can interpret them." Confounded but undeterred, Thomas began tracing the skull's origins for more leads. Townsfolk increasingly came forward with clues and evidence, some claiming to see strange lights at night, seemingly from the mountaintop. Thomas decided to summarize these clues and revisit the signal source sites. He sought scholars and researchers to interpret the skull carvings. An expert from a nearby university who studied ancient scripts became interested and joined the research. After some time, the expert decoded part of the carvings. They were an ancient pictographic language detailing astronomical and geographical data, seemingly guiding a particular location, possibly an important discovery site. Thomas, Bennett, and the script expert decided to follow the clues to the site for further investigation. With the necessary gear and supplies, they set off again into the mountains while avoiding possible surveillance. Hours of trekking led them to the pinpointed location. It was a concealed cave with its entrance hidden by camo nets. Inside, they found advanced equipment and instruments everywhere, alongside numerous photos and documents of strange events and discoveries over decades. As they prepared for a detailed search, a group of armed men in black stormed the cave. Clearly, these men were sent to guard these secrets. Surrounded with no room for resistance, Thomas and his companions were taken to a secret base, where they were separately interrogated and threatened. At the base, Thomas met a former intelligence officer named Martin Smith. Smith revealed he was once central to this project, which started during the Cold War to harness extraterrestrial technology for potential global crises. Smith explained the project spiraled out of control, causing numerous unexplained events. The government attempted to cover up the truth and silence all who knew. But as skull discoveries continued, some truths surfaced. "You now know too much," Smith warned Thomas, but seemed sympathetic. "But I won't stay silent any longer. This is my only chance to share this information." Smith's intel detailed the origin and use of the mysterious skulls. They were discovered in ancient sacrificial sites and used in modern experiments, containing intricate engravings and astronomical data. "These inscriptions are more than language," Smith said. "They record theories about a cosmic energy that could revolutionize our understanding of physics and the universe. We've only scratched the surface, with much left unknown." Amazed, Thomas resolved to make this public. With Smith's help, he and Bennett escaped government monitoring and pursuit and secretly shared all the collected information with the media and independent government watchdogs. Although the affair was exposed, the government continued to strongly deny the highly classified aspects behind the event. However, Thomas's efforts did not go in vain. Public interest in the skull event surged, compelling independent scientists and research institutions to investigate this mystery. These researchers used the publicly available information to continue decoding the symbols on the skulls, seeking to uncover deeper truths. At the same time, the residents of Richmond Town gradually learned about everything that had transpired over the years. Though they still lived in a certain degree of fear and unease, the community began to unite, collectively guarding and unearthing the truth behind the ghost skull events. However, has the mystery behind the ghost skull events truly been uncovered? A young archaeologist named Caitlin White made a groundbreaking discovery at a new excavation site. She found a more extensive and intricate skull relic area, claiming it might point towards an even more astonishing conspiracy and truth, pushing the event to new heights. Stay tuned next week as we delve into Caitlin White's archaeological findings and the even more shocking revelations they bring.